Oh, my life. Okay, so this is a camera that I just got for Christmas. And it came with like kind of this tripod that has some bendy legs. And you guys all just fell over because apparently I didn't set it up right. Oh. Kidding, that time it was me. So bear with me as I manually adjust things. But this is for my Ivy Tech students, and we are covering Chapter 13 in our book, The Art of Public Speaking. So exciting! Chapter 13 is going to cover delivery. So exciting! I'm going to follow along with the PowerPoint here and kind of give you a Spark Notes version of what the book says so that you guys have this information before your first speech on Monday, because we didn't get a chance to cover it in class because we have so many snow days. Hey, and we're supposed to get like a foot of snow over the weekend and have more drifting and blowing winds because of this front coming in. I probably won't see you guys Monday either, but until you hear otherwise, please show up Monday. Maybe we won't get it. Maybe the snowstorm will pass. This is my Katniss braid, by the way. It's not as awesome as hers. I tried. Anyway. So first, we cover nonverbal communication. And nonverbal communication is based on your voice and your body and how you use them to relay information to other people. Whoa! So, you have different types of delivery that I thought we discussed earlier, but those are manuscript, memory, impromptu, and extemporaneous. Manuscript speaking is speaking straight from a written product that you have made, and you write it exactly how you're going to say it. However, this really limits the eye contact that you can make with your audience because you're so focused on reading what you've written that you're not focused on making eye contact and being personable and relatable with your audience. Then we have memorized speaking. This is when you wholeheartedly, flat out, completely memorize your presentation. Yeah, that's awesome, but sometimes when you do memorize speaking, if somebody asks you a question in the middle of your presentation, it's hard for you to get back on your train of thought and get flowing again because you weren't planning on having your speech interrupted. Impromptu speaking is getting up and speaking without any form of any kind of practice. So, for impromptu speaking, this usually happens during like a Q&A session or maybe asking questions in a business meeting or answering questions. And finally, we have extemporaneous speaking, and this is the most common, most contemporary form of speaking. This is where you give yourself a keyword outline, which is what you guys are working for on your introduction speech, and you rehearse the information that you have. So your introduction is usually written out like we discussed on the sample outline, and then your body is going to have keywords to help trigger your memory on what you wanted to say for that part of your presentation. And then finally, your conclusion is written out as well as you would say it. However, I highly recommend having your introduction and conclusion memorized because they're going to make a bigger impact having that information memorized instead of reading it off of your notes. You're going to be able to reach the audience better and have, they're going to focus more on you and your information rather than what you're doing, which would be looking down at your note cards or your outline and then not being able to make eye contact. Your voice is being projected down so you're not as loud. You guys get what I'm saying? I'm just going to pretend, because you're not here, that you're giving me the nod so that I can turn the page and go and move on. Covered manuscript and impromptu and extemporaneous. Conversational quality. This is presenting a speech so it sounds spontaneous no matter how many times it's been rehearsed. So you want your presentations to have this kind of atmosphere or tone about it because you want your audience to feel like you're speaking with them and not at them. When I think of speaking at somebody, I think of a very rehearsed, monotonous lecture. We've all been in those giant lecture halls and the big stadium seating with 100 students. It's a required freshman class. And you're just like, what is happening? And to top it all off, you guys remember those Clear Eyes commercials? The guy, the lecturer, usually sounds like that. Very, very boring. Very dry. Just like his eyes. Yeah. So, try to have a conversational quality about your presentation for your tone. Extemporaneous, this is rehearsing your speech. We already covered that. If you click the video or click the black box in the PowerPoint, it'll play a video for you. That's my dog Dewey. It kind of sounds like my husband's home. So he's gonna walk in on me, talking to myself. Dewey! Now let's talk about the speaker's voice. This is on page 243. First, there's your volume. This is how loud or soft the speaker's voice is. When you're presenting, you want to be loud enough so that the entire room can hear you. You don't want the front row to feel like you're yelling at them, but at the same time, the back row needs to hear you as well. Your pitch, this is the highness or lowness of the speaker's voice. It has to do with your voice inflection. Monotone is the dry eyes, the clear eyes guy. I tend to have a lot of inflection and enthusiasm in my voice. Inflections in the pitch are defined as well as changes in the pitch or tone of a speaker's voice. I'm usually really excited and happy, so I have a lot of inflection in my voice, like I just said. Rate, this is how fast you speak. Rate is very important during your presentations. Don't be like me, slow down. That's the biggest thing that I can say about that. Also, you can change your rate for the conclusion or perhaps when you're giving a quote so that you can help better grab your audience's attention. I did this with my SMC students today. A lot of them were texting and tweeting on their phones, and I slowed down and lowered my voice a little bit, and then everybody looked up from their phones in unison. And I'm seriously just going to have to bring a basket to put all their phones in because everybody's tweeting, and all the time during class. Nope. Pauses. These are momentary breaks in the vocal delivery of a speech. Use them effectively. One way to use them is instead of using a filler, instead of using that vocal filler, use a pause. It's more effective. Gives you a moment to collect your thoughts before you move on. Additionally, you can use them for effect during a quote or for emphasis. See what I did there? Also, there's vocal variety. This is changes in a speaker's rate, pitch, and volume that give the voice variety and expressiveness and eliminates the monotone problem. Nobody wants to be the dry eyes guy. I got some sass today. Sorry. Actually, I'm not that sorry. But I hope it's making the video more interesting.
Get in there, Pud. You old Pud sucker.
Dave, I'm making a video. Stop saying that.
Not allowed to say Pud sucker?
No. Pronunciation. This is the accepted standard of sound and rhythm for words in a given language. So, some examples that they give in the book are listed on page 246. One is the word genuine. An incorrect pronunciation is saying it genuine. 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 Hey Jen, you win. Ah! Is that a bad dad joke? I think so. Additionally, nuclear. Some people have a tendency to say nuclear instead of nuclear. Another one that's not in the book is the word affidavit. The last letter of the word is a T, not a D. And a lot of people, attorneys, say affidavit. No, it's not David, it's David. Also, we have articulation. This is the physical production of particular speech sounds. So, a lot of us get into a habit of combining our words. One example that I really like to use is, would you eat? Would you eat? Would you eat? Articulating each word separately and not combining them all into one phrase. Some examples that are in the book are on page 247. Ought to, we have a tendency to say oughta. Don't know, dunno, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. Will you go to the mall with me? Will you go to the mall today? Yeah. That's the way we are, especially in the Midwest. Finally, we have dialect. This is a variety of language distinguished by variations of accent, grammar, or vocabulary. And these tend to go along with cultural and ethnic backgrounds as well as location depending on where you're from. My favorite dialect to refer to for ease of reference would be an Australian dialect. Good day, mate! No, not funny. My husband's making snide remarks. Defined volume, I defined pitch, rate, pauses, vocalized pauses, vocal variety. There is another video in there as well. Pronunciation, articulation, dialect. Now let's talk about the speaker's body. This begins on page 248 for those of you following along in the book. So, the speaker's body makes a big impact in the presentation as well. And things that are really going to make an impact are things like personal appearance, movement, gestures, and eye contact. Personal appearance, this is your grooming, your dress. When I come to class, I tend to dress business casual and not in my rugby polo shirt. Are you judging?
Yes.
I love you.
Are you gonna edit this crap?
No, I don't. I don't have anything to edit with. Okay. You won't be in the video if you sit on the couch.
I better not be.
This is my life. Also, movement is considered as well. A lot of novice speakers are really going to be stiff boards and not move around at all. Don't turn that sound on. I said you could sit there, not watch the TV. Married problems. However, those who are more experienced speakers tend to have a stage presence and start to move around. And with that, not only are they starting to use their hand gestures as well, in a natural manner, by the way. Again, don't make them forced. Practice with them, and if they still look really awkward, use them minimally, and we'll work towards that towards the end of the semester on getting you to use hand gestures. After movement, we do cover gestures, by the way, which are motions of a speaker's hands or arms during a speech. You see me use them a lot of the times. I'm a very animated person. I use my hands to talk all day, every day. My husband's ignoring me. Finally, we have eye contact. This is direct visual contact with the eyes of another person. And eye contact is highly valued in the U.S., This varies across different cultures on how we view eye contact and whether it's a sign of submission or dominance or unruliness. In the U.S., it's highly prioritized and it's commonly accepted, and people expect you to do it and not to look down. Clip about eye contact, by the way. Kinesics? I don't know how to pronounce that word, but it's the study of body motions as a mode of communication. Kidding, just making sure you're paying attention. Practicing delivery. This is really important. Because you're doing an extemporaneous speech where you rehearse using an outline that you're allowed to have with you during your presentation, it's best to go through the outline out loud like we discussed and not just reading it in your head, because it's going to make a huge difference. Practicing in the mirror and actually reading it out loud versus sitting on your bed and reading it to yourself in your head, it's not going to go the way you imagine it in your head. You also have to take the time to go ahead and pronounce those words and articulate them, loosen up your jaw a little bit. Otherwise, you're going to get all tongue-tied. I get tongue-tied all the time. So, rehearse out loud. That's my biggest tip, hands down. I'd slap my hands on the table, but this tripod will make it just fall over. Be sure to polish and refine your delivery as you see fit as you go through your rehearsals of your presentation. And finally, give yourself a dress rehearsal. If you can, rehearse in the area, make your rehearsal as close as possible to how you're going to be presenting in class, whether it's using visual aid, having a timer in front of you, because I'm giving you guys that option to have the timer in front of you so that you can see where you are. Additionally, wear the outfit that you're going to wear for presentation day. Because say that you decide to come in a suit and tie and you threw your shirt in the dryer last time you washed it and it shrunk a little bit and now it has kind of these gapes and you're uncomfortable, maybe it's time to switch out your shirt. Now you know that because you've done a dress rehearsal in your outfit. Also prepare for a Q&A. Make sure that you've done enough research to be able to answer any questions that may come up. So this ensures that you do a well-rounded amount of research and not just focusing on your main points. And practice delivery of how you would answer these questions for a Q&A session. However, I don't think Q&As are really going to be a situation that you encounter in this course except for in your persuasive speeches. However, should you be asked a question that you don't know the answer to, the best way to respond is, that's a very good question. However, my research did not take me in that direction, and I'll be sure to conduct further research to better give you a more detailed answer later on. Something along those lines to let us know that you don't have the ability to answer the question without just saying, I don't know. Really? Also, managing your Q&A. Approach the Q&A session with a positive attitude and listen carefully to the questions that are being asked to you. And be sure to direct your answers to the entire audience and not just the person asking the question. And be honest and straightforward, like I gave you that example. However, instead of just saying, I don't know, say, well, I did conduct my research didn't go in that direction. I appreciate your question, but I will conduct further research to be able to answer your question in the future. And finally, stay on track with your question. Don't go off on tangents. Make sure that it's actually, your answer is answering the question. All right, and that concludes Chapter 13 for us in our Art of Public Speaking. If you have any other questions about the chapter, feel free to ask me, but I hope this helps cover some things that we were not able to cover in class. If you have any questions, email me, and hopefully this helps you with the quiz. That's should be due, you should do it this week since we covered the chapters this week, but you also should, ultimately have them all done by March 3rd. Sorry this video wasn't very exciting. This is my 4th video I've made today, and I kind of almost forgot about it, so these are actually like my bum clothes. Alright, have a good day.